Good morning. Welcome to this morning mindfulness practice. Thank you for being here with me. I've been talking about Genevieve Behrend, who was the only student of Thomas Troward. And I want to read from Thomas Troward why Genevieve wanted to be his student. He had a formula. He allowed people, he didn't want to teach people. He just studied and wrote. He was a famous judge, and he wanted people to understand that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. You get what you're in harmony with. So in order to get what you really want, you had to direct your thoughts to the feeling of what it would be like to already have what you wanted. What do you want? Why do you want it? What purpose would it serve in your life? How would you feel? And he wrote a chapter, Entering into the Spirit of It. And over this past week, I've been talking about Genevieve Behrend and her interpretation of Thomas Troward and getting into the spirit of what you truly desire. So allow yourself to put away some distractions, to sit quietly, and to think about this chapter from Thomas Troward. What does it mean to you to get into the spirit of your wish fulfilled? What is it that you really want? What would that do for your life? Troward writes, entering into the spirit of it. What a common expression, and yet how much it really means, how absolutely everything. We enter into the spirit of an undertaking, into the spirit of a movement, into the spirit of an author, even into the spirit of a game, and it makes all the difference both to us and to that into which we enter. A game without any spirit is a poor affair. An association in which there is no spirit falls to pieces. And a spiritless undertaking is sure to be a failure. On the other hand, the book which is meaningless to the unsympathizing reader is full of life and suggestion to the one who enters into the spirit of the writer. The man who enters into the spirit of the music finds a spring of refreshment in some fine recital which is entirely missed by the cold critic who comes only to judge according to the standard of a rigid rule. And so on in every case that we can think of. If we do not enter the spirit of a thing, it has no invigorating effect upon us, and we regard it as dull, insipid, and worthless. This is our everyday experience, and these are the words in which we express it. And the words are well chosen. They show our intuitive recognition of the spirit as the fundamental reality in everything, however small or however great. Let us be right as to the spirit of a thing, and everything else will successfully follow. By entering into the spirit of anything, we establish a mutual, vivifying action and reaction between it and ourselves. We vivify it with our own vitality, and it vivifies us with a living interest, which we call its spirit. And therefore, the more fully we enter into the spirit of all with which we are concerned, the more thoroughly do we become alive. The more completely we do this, the more we shall find that we are penetrating into the great secret of life. It may seem a truism, but the great secret of life is its livingness. And it is just more of this quality of livingness that we want to get a hold of. It is that good thing of which we can never have too much. But every fact also implies its negative, and we never properly understand a thing until we not only know what it is, but also clearly understand what it is not. To a complete understanding, the knowledge of the negative is as necessary as the knowledge of the affirmative. For the perfect knowledge consists in realizing the relation between the two, and the perfect power grows out of this knowledge by enabling us to balance the affirmative and negative against each other in any proportion that we will, thus giving flexibility to what would otherwise be too rigid and form to what would otherwise be too fluid. And so by uniting these two extremes to produce any result we may desire. It is the old Hermetic saying, coagula e solve, solidify the fluid and dissolve the solid. And therefore, if we would discover the secret of entering into the spirit of it, we must get some idea of the negative, which is the not spirit. In various ages, this negative phase has been expressed in different forms of words suitable to the spirit of the time. And so, clothing this idea in the attire of the present day, I will sum up the opposite of spirit in the word mechanism. Well, keep in mind that this chapter would have been written, I believe, about the 1920s or 30s. And in that time, the mechanical age was coming into being. We've far outgrown that period of time. Now we've gone through an age of technology, and I think we're moving into an age of spiritualism. But when Thomas Troward wrote this chapter, it was in the mechanical age. Troward writes, before all things, this is a mechanical age. And it is astonishing how great a part of what we call our social advance has its root in the mechanical arts. Reduce the mechanical arts to what they were in the days of the kings and queens, and the greater part of our boasted civilization would recede through the centuries along with them. We may not be conscious of all of this, but the mechanical tendency of the age has a firm grip upon society at large. We habitually look at the mechanical side of things by preference to any other. In those days, he would say, everything is done mechanically, from the carving on a piece of furniture to the arrangement of the social system. It is the mechanism that must be considered first, and the spirit has to be fitted to the mechanical exigencies. And then we enter into the mechanism of it instead of the spirit of it. When we do that, we limit the spirit. We refuse to let spirit have its way. And then, as a consequence, we end up with entirely mechanical action. And we complete our circle of ignorance by supposing that that is the only sort of action there is. Yet, this is not a necessary state of things even in regard to physical science. For the men who have made the greatest advances in that direction are those who have most clearly seen the subordination of the mechanical to the spiritual. A person who can recognize a natural law only as it operates through certain forms of mechanism with which he is familiar will never rise to the construction of the higher forms of mechanism which might be built up upon that law. For he fails to see that it is the law which determines the mechanism and not vice versa. This man will make no advance in science, either theoretical or applied, and the world will never owe any debt of gratitude to him. But the man who recognizes that the mechanism for the application of any principle grows out of the true apprehension of the principle studies the principle first, knowing that when this is properly grasped, it will necessarily suggest all that is wanted for bringing it into practical use. What is it that you truly desire? You must enter into the spirit of it, into the feeling of it, before you take action. If you just go throughout your day working on your current problem, what you really desire can't find you. Troad says, if this is true in regard to so-called physical science, it is absolutely true as regards the science of spirit. There is a mechanical attitude of mind which judges everything by the limitations of past experiences, allowing nothing for the fact that those experiences were for the most part results of our ignorance of spiritual law. But if we realize the true law of being, we shall rise above these mechanical conceptions. We shall not deny the reality of the body, nor the physical world as facts, knowing that they are also spirit, but we shall learn to deny their power as causes. So he's saying, don't let your current results, your outside circumstances, be the cause of what happens in your future. Let go of that. Don't give power to what you don't want. We shall learn to distinguish between the causa costa and the causa causans, the secondary or apparent physical cause, and the primary or spiritual cause, without which the secondary cause could not exist. And so we shall get a new standpoint of clear knowledge and certain power by stepping over the mechanical and entering into the spirit of it. What we have to do is maintain our even balance between the two extremes, neither denying spirit nor the mechanism which is its form and through which it works. So the divine spirit works through your physical body. You're not just your body, and you're not just your mind. Allow God to work through you. The spirit of whatever you desire, whatever picture you hold in your mind is meant for you to bring into your human experience. Troward says, the one is as necessary to a perfect whole as the other, for there must be an outside as well as an inside. Only we must remember that the creative principle is always inside, and that the outside only exhibits what the inside creates. What you think on the outside is what you bring about in your physical reality. What you think about, you act on, and is the cause of your results. Whatever external effect we would produce, whatever we want, first we must enter into the spirit of it and work upon the spiritual principle, whether it's in ourselves or others, and by so doing, our insight will become greatly enlarged. For from without, we can see only one small portion of the circumference, while from the center, we can see the whole of it. If we fully grasp the truth that Spirit is creator, we can dispense with painful investigations into the mechanical side of all our problems. We don't have to worry about how something is going to happen. We just go inside and imagine ourselves already there. Get into the spirit of it. Get into the spirit of the wish fulfilled. Get into the feeling as if it's already yours. And so from the inside, we create what we truly desire. Our insight will become greatly enlarged because when we're looking at our current results, at what we already have, we can only see one small part of our life. If we truly sit quietly, calm our central nervous system, connect to the Great Spirit within each and every one of us, knowing that Spirit is creator, then we don't have to figure out the how. We can leave it up to the entire universe. If we are constructing from without, then we have to calculate anxiously the strength of our materials and the force of every thrust and strain to which they may be subjected. And very possibly, after all, we may find that we've made a mistake somewhere in our elaborate calculations. But if we realize the power of creating from within, we shall find all these calculations correctly made for us. For the same Spirit which is creator is also that which the Bible calls the wonderful numberer. Construction from without is based upon analysis, and no analysis is complete without accurate quantitative knowledge. But creation is the very opposite of analysis. And creation carries its own mathematics with it. Thomas Troward writes, to enter into the spirit of anything, then, is to make yourself one in thought with the creative principle that is at the center of it. And therefore, why not go to the center of all things at once? Enter into the spirit of life. Do you ask where to find it? In yourself. And in proportion as you find it there, you will find it everywhere else. Look at life as the one thing that is. Life is. Whether it's in you or around you, try to realize the livingness of it, and then seek to enter into the spirit of it by affirming it to be the whole of what you are. Affirm this continually in your thoughts, and by degrees, Step by step, moment by moment, the affirmation will grow into a real living force within you so that it will become second nature to you. You will find it impossible and unnatural to think in any other way. The nearer you approach this point, the greater you will find your control over your body, control over circumstances, until at last you shall so enter into the spirit of it, into the spirit of the divine creative power, which is at the root of all things, that in the words of Jesus, nothing shall be impossible to you. Nothing shall be impossible to you because you have so entered into the spirit of it that you discover yourself to be one with it. When you are in the spirit of life, then all the old limitations will have passed away, and you will be living in an entirely new world of life, liberty, and love, of which you yourself are the radiating center. You will realize the truth that your thought is a limitless creative power, and that you yourself are behind your thought. You are controlling and directing it with knowledge for any purpose which love motives and wisdom plans. When you use your thought motivated by love and wisdom, then you will cease from your labors, your struggles, and your anxieties. When you send out thought energy of love, then you enter into a new order where perfect rest is one with ceaseless activity. Oh, this was written in 1902. That's where Thomas Troward was talking about, in that day, the age of mechanism, the mechanical arts. Everything was starting to be done through using machines. So in 1902, he wrote this about, instead of getting into the mechanism, the mechanics of what's going on in the outside world, you had to enter into the spirit of it. Even if you were using machinery, what did you want to create? Doesn't food taste better when it's prepared with love? Don't you have a beautiful meal and digest better and feel more nourished when a meal is prepared with love? When you do your work, entering into the spirit of it, entering into it with joy, reading a book, entering into the spirit of it, entering into the spirit, getting into the spirit of a game. When you watch a game, entering into the spirit of it, isn't it so much more fun and exciting? When you enter into the spirit of your deep desire, already here, already a done deal, knowing how you will feel when your wish is fulfilled, using your mind as a center of divine creation, it turns out so much better. Believe in yourself as the physical instrument through which God operates. Ask yourself daily, What is the purpose of the power which put me here? How can I work with the purpose for life and liberty in me? Genevieve Behrend writes, after having decided these questions, endeavor hourly to fulfill them. You are a law unto yourself. Always remember that all is yours to use as you will. You can if you will. If you will, you do. God the Father blesses you with all He has to give. Make good godly use of it. The reason for greater success when you first began your studies and demonstrations in mental science was your joy and enthusiasm at the simple discovery of the power within you, which was greater than you were able to put into your understanding. With increased understanding comes increasing joy and enthusiasm, and the results will correspond. So you know what you want? Get into the spirit of the wish fulfilled. How you want to be living. Sit quietly, contemplate that, get into the spirit of it. Why does it matter to you? And you might use a pen and paper and 5 minutes to just write down what it is that you desire. What's your goal for today? What intention do you have to live in joy and health, happiness, healthy, wealthy, loving life? Get into the spirit of the wish fulfilled and then write about it. Get into the feeling of being grateful. Gratitude hooks you up to the divine energy, and you can create your heart's desire. Take a piece of paper and write, I am so happy and grateful now that. And whatever wish, hope, dream, goal that you have, write about how wonderful you feel now that it's accomplished. What's your purpose? What do you want to create? No limits. The power within you is connected to God. Enter into the spirit of it so strongly, so deeply, that your old worries and doubts will vanish and you can create whatever you want. Think about it, write about it. Most importantly, feel it. Get into the spirit of it. Already done. People will think you're crazy. What is it that you want? Transform your thoughts and your words and your deeds into being the person that has your wish fulfilled. Create a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you back here Monday morning at 7. Thank you.